Greetings, my fellow renegades. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite weather and climate sites and apps so you can find the location on Earth that is optimal for your health and well-being. So you can plan a vacation, win arguments, or just become an absolute guru at determining what has gone on, what is going on, and what will go on outside. We all know that climate is important for health, right? Outdoor air quality, that's a big one. Another one is some people are prone to developing mood disorders if they live somewhere that doesn't get enough sun. Another one is some people who are sensitive to mold often can mitigate their symptoms by moving somewhere that's less humid. And then there's just comfort. Like some people want it hotter, colder, some people like a longer growing season, etc. Now I'm going to share my absolute favorite climate resource that I've been obsessed with for far too long. And now, instead of annoying my fiance with it, I'm going to annoy you guys with how much I love it. Here is Weatherspark. And what it tells you is what the weather is like on average in any location you can think of. It shows you an interactive map of the entire world so you can get a really quick view of like what the weather is based on location. I'll show you that in a bit. It shows you the average past weather across so many different dimensions, from cloud cover to humidity to temperature, etc. And you can also compare different locations. So without further ado, I'm going to type in Burlington, Vermont, which is where I live, and let's check it out. Up here, we can see the climate in Burlington on average across a few different dimensions, and I'll go over these individually. We can start with the average high and low temperature in Burlington. So this red line is the high temperature, and this purple line is the low. I think it's purple. I'm colorblind though, so you'll have to tell me, did I get that right? Give me a like if I got that right. If I got it wrong, still give me a like as well. So anyway, July 19th, this is the hottest day of the year at 81 degrees Fahrenheit. And on January 29th, that's the coldest day of the year at 28 degrees Fahrenheit. So this graph tells you that. And then you can also look at the average high by month. So the average high in May is 68. You can also look at the average low, it's 49. So that's really useful. I'll explain this in a bit. You can see the cloud cover. This is amazing. You can check how cloudy it is. We can see that this line represents a division between when it's clearer and cloudier. So it's cloudier above this line and clearer below. We can see that in around September, the beginning of September, that is the clearest time of the year. And in end of December, that's the cloudiest time of the year. It's a clearer 64% of the time in September and 40% on January 3rd. You can also see this by month. Precipitation, we can see the daily chance of precipitation. So it's greatest chance of raining in July. This one is really good. So this is average monthly rainfall. We can see in June right here, on average, it rains 3.5 inches. Snowfall, we can see that as well. So that's pretty cool. This is one of the more useful charts that I really love. This tells you humidity comfort levels in Burlington based on the time of year. So we can see that from June to the end of August is kind of the muggy time of the year. We can see the percentage of time that it's comfortable, humid, muggy, and oppressive. And they do this by dew point. We can see that there is a time of the year when it's muggy 23% of the time, which some might say is a lot, some might say is not that much, depending on where you live. We can also see average wind speed by month. So it's windiest at the end of February, which is really interesting and not great, not comfortable. And this chart tells you what the growing season is. So this is useful for obviously those of you who like to grow food. We can see in Burlington, this black line denotes what the growing season is, and it's from around like the end of May until the middle of September. And this one tells us the average shortwave solar energy. So we can see that we get the most solar energy for like solar panels on June 29th. So I really love this section. I actually just discovered it. It tells you the average elevation above sea level. So that's useful. And it tells you other aspects of the topography as well. And I'm going to show you something I found interesting here. I will use Grand Rapids, Michigan for this. So this chart is really interesting. This center line right here that I'm tracing tells you where solar noon is. So it tells you the hour of the day where the sun is at the highest point in the sky. And in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at 2 p.m. during daylight savings time, the sun is at the highest, which is crazy. You wouldn't think 2 p.m. would be noon, but it is. And I think that reason why is because Grand Rapids is at the edge of the time zone. So let's go back to Burlington, Vermont, so I can show you some interesting historical data that I noticed. So we're up here in the overall climate chart. Click on what year you're interested in seeing the history for. So I'll click on 2023. And there was a particular month in Burlington in the winter where it was extremely cloudy. And I felt like we didn't see the sun hardly at all. So check this out, cloud cover in 2023 in Burlington. So let's click on the month that I thought was really cloudy. And let's zoom into December. So this lighter portion that I'm circling here represents when it's light out, the daytime, from 6 a.m. as you can see until like 4 p.m. Gray and blue represents how cloudy or clear it is. So the blue is clear and the gray is cloudy. This is the month of December, so December 1st, 2nd, etc. And look at how cloudy it was all month. We basically have a handful of days where it was kind of clear, like December 12th, kind of clear for a few hours, but mostly cloudy. And then look at this. The only actually like fairly clear day was December 22nd. So we had almost every day in December was cloudy. And here, this is daily precipitation in that month. So we can see, oh, wow. So it rained. Oh, it rained that day. Oh, it rained that day. Here we can see like what the weather was. So that's pretty cool. You can go over this by yourself if you want. So let's zoom out again and look at something else. So we had a really, really humid July in Burlington in 2023. So let's zoom in and check it out. Click on July. Yellow is humid, orange is muggy, and purple is oppressive. And you can see it was yellow or orange for basically this whole month, meaning dew point, really mostly dew point above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is quite humid for this area. Let's compare this to another year. So look at this. And look how different 2007 was. I mean, this is like mostly comfortable, dry, all month. We have a period where it was a little bit oppressive and humid, but so different. Now I'm going to help you figure out where to move based on climate. Basically just exploring other places to see what it's like there. Go to the homepage and we'll click on New York City. So let's scroll down. This chart is going to be really helpful for this. So on the y-axis, we have the time, and it goes from morning, afternoon, and night up here. So, and then we have month on the x-axis. So the colors are pretty self-explanatory. We have the cool colors representing cool temperatures and the warm colors representing warm temperatures. And as you can see that there's a period where like in the late afternoon, it's warm during like June, July, and August in New York City. And the coldest time of year is during the early morning hours during January. Keep this in mind. So now we're going to go to the interactive map. And the entire world is shown to us in this way. So a great place to demonstrate the utility of this map is on the west coast of the US. So we can look at California here, and you can see there's a lot of yellow and green right along the coast. And as you get more inland, you see a lot more deep reds, meaning it's much more comfortable temperature-wise along the coast. And as you get more inland, you get a lot hotter temperatures. And this phenomena, I think, is because of the warmer ocean temperatures on the shore. And then you can just basically explore places. Like here, we'll go to New Mexico, and we can see, okay, it's a lot warmer. We don't see as many blues, as many cool colors in the southern part of New Mexico. But as we go up into the mountains, we can see it gets quite cold in Santa Fe. And we can look at that. So we have some freezing temperatures at night in Santa Fe. And so now we're at the homepage again. And a feature that I absolutely love is this one, comparing cities. So I got in an argument with one of my friends about whether Burlington, Vermont, where I live, is more snowy than Boston, where they live, Boston, Mass. And I said, Burlington is not at all snowier than Boston. They're very similar. And this person goes, no, what? Burlington is way north and there's mountains around it. It's way snowier. Well, let's compare them. So Burlington, and then the place where this person lived was Norwood, Mass, which is around Boston. So let's scroll down to the snow amounts. So here's the average monthly snowfall chart, and you can see Norwood in green and Burlington in dark blue. And it actually snows more in Norwood in January and February, 9.9 versus 8.3. Needless to say, I won that argument. Now let's compare Portland, Oregon and Bend, Oregon. And I'm going to show you a few things. So here's the map, and you can see that Portland is a little closer to the water and Bend is a little more inland. So let's look at the average high and low temperature first. So Bend is in the green and Portland is in the blue, and you can see that Bend is cooler than Portland. It's actually really similar during the hottest part of the summer, but Bend is definitely colder at night, the low temperature, 58 versus 52 in the summer and 40 versus 24 in the winter. Let's look at the chance of clearer skies. So we can see that Portland is actually a lot less clear in the winter than Bend. So Bend, 37% of days are clearer. In Portland, only 24%. And they're more similar in the summer. Look at how different their average monthly rainfalls are. So in November and December, Portland gets 9.4 inches and Bend gets only 3.4. So Bend is so much drier. So if you're looking for, if you're in Oregon and you're looking for somewhere that isn't as wet, maybe Bend is for you. And you don't have to rely on like people saying, oh, like Portland is this, Bend is that. You can look at actual data. But if we look at average monthly snowfall, one thing that's interesting is in Bend, it actually snows a lot more than Portland. So 8.6 inches versus, 2.9 at the most. So if you hate snow, then you might not want to move to Bend. If you hate snow, you might want to move to Portland. If you're a gardener and you really want a long growing season, Portland's growing season is way longer than Bend. So now let's compare Asheville, North Carolina with Charlotte, North Carolina. So first we'll look at average high and low temperature. So you can see that Asheville is significantly cooler than Charlotte. So if you're in this area and you want to move somewhere cooler, Asheville might be your place. It's because it's up in the mountains. So let's go down to the chance of muggy conditions chart. So you can see that Asheville, at its most muggy, it's muggy 58% of the time. Whereas in Charlotte, it's muggy 80% of the time. So it's a lot drier in Asheville, a lot more comfortable in my opinion. Now let's compare San Antonio, Texas to Odessa, Texas. So look at how different San Antonio and Odessa are in terms of their mugginess. Odessa is only muggy 18% of the time, and San Antonio is muggy 89% of the time at the most muggy time of year. And that's because there is basically a line that goes through the middle of the US, starting from here, going down here, going through Texas, through the middle of Texas, basically, that divides the humid part of the US, which is the eastern portion, from the dry portion of the US, which is the west. Now, let's say we were planning a vacation to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and we wanted to figure out what time of year to go. And we can see, oh, wow, look at this cloud cover map. So it's a lot more cloudy in the summer months, a lot clearer in January, February, March. And then look at the humidity level. It is oppressive almost 100% of the time in the spring, late spring and summer and early fall. So really the only somewhat comfortable time to go is January, February, March. And looking at average monthly rainfall, you definitely want to avoid going during the rainy season. So May, September, again, January and February. So look at that. We picked a time of year to go to San Juan. So now I typed in an area I used to live because it's a good example to use for showing you how the data works. So what they do to give you the averages for your location if you don't have a weather station there is they take areas with weather stations around your location, and they basically use a lot of cool formulas to triangulate those based on like elevation change, distance. So pretty cool computational analysis going into that. So that's Weatherspark. You know, you can use it to win arguments, to plan vacations, to plan moves, just to validate your own observations. So I really love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. My favorite resource for standard weather forecasts is the Weather Channel website and app. I like to use the app on my phone. The app does have ads, but I'm okay with that because it is by far the most accurate weather app I've tried. And I've been trying every single one I can for the past 10 years. My theory as to why it's so much more accurate than the other apps is because most of the other apps are just made by like a dude like who like figured out how to code a nice looking interface for a weather app. You know, some of them use like data from weather stations. Usually I think there's just a guy running them. Whereas like with the Weather Channel, they're like a network with a bunch of salaried people. So I think they have more resources to put into making this actually accurate. So yep, you type in your location, you can see the current conditions, you can see the Doppler radar, which is cool. You can see through the next several hours what the weather is supposed to be. We can see snow continuing through 5, snowfall amounts for the next 6 hours, 12 hours, 24, 48. That's pretty useful. And, you know, your weather forecasts, conditions, hourly forecast, daily forecast, you know, so you can click on certain days. What's it like Monday? Oh, partly cloudy skies. We got humidity this, that. So the app is fairly similar, but yeah, I mean, I consider this to be the most accurate app. So this beautiful site is Zoom Earth. And basically what it is it's a climate map website and app. And I'm on the website. You can choose your specifications. You can see satellite, radar, precipitation, wind, temperature, humidity, and pressure. Let's look at dew point. So let's see how dry it is. I'm going to zoom into a region that I think is somewhat interesting. So right now, Florida is pretty dry. And you can see the dry is in the, you know, red, and then the kind of wet, humid is in the blue. So Florida is pretty dry. But if we advance our hours, we can see that a humid air mass is kind of creeping up Florida. And look at that. Now Florida is all blue. So you can mouse over it and see 67 dew point, humid. And so that's cool. And then, but now, see, now it's pretty dry, but it's going to be pretty humid in Florida. And this works with temperature as well, of course. We'll look at the UK. You can go backwards, previous day. You can go forwards to look at forecasts. And you can look at wind speed. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Anything you could possibly want. I absolutely love this app. Precipitation. You can look at how much it's snowing right now. So right now it's snowing really softly. You can see where the rain snow lines are. You know, so you can see this in the past and the future. You can see the radar. Isn't that cool? And then you can go back, see how the storm's been progressing. And you can see satellite images. So how cool is this? I absolutely love it. This next site shows you air quality, and you can really see it anywhere in the world. So let's do Italy. So we can see areas of Italy, air quality is unhealthy. The darker red color is unhealthy and green is healthier. So if we click on these areas, we can see, you know, the air quality index. We can see forecasts. And we can see what exactly is the dominant pollutant that these people are breathing here right now. So PM 2.5 is the most dominant pollutant here. We also have PM10, CO, so carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, and we have a bunch of other things. So we can basically see like what's going on in the air exactly, precisely. We can also see where there are fires. And I like to just explore, like, What really blows my mind is just how bad air quality is in certain parts of India and China. I mean, look at this. This is like completely hazardous. You probably would want to avoid going outside entirely. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed all my different tips and tricks. I hope you liked Weatherspark for looking at climate averages, the Weather Channel for looking at forecasts, Zoom Earth for looking at maps of changes in the climate as they kind of go, and Breezometer for looking at air quality. If this was helpful to you, please like this video. And finally, my fellow renegades, I salute you.